Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of How to Make a Life. Today, we are talking to Arsh Ali about archaeology. Now, Arsh is the youngest archaeologist in India and the very first Egyptologist from India. Arsh, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure being in your show. Thank you so much for your kind invitation.
All right. Now, Arsh, just for people who don't know, right? How old are you, and how old were you when you started your journey in archaeology?
Right now, I am 20, but the time when I started with archaeology, it was far, far behind. It was around the age of 5 or 6 when
Okay.
I started into history and archaeology.
All right. Now, archaeology has been romanticized in many ways. No small thanks to pop culture, right? Now, can you give us a reality check? How many of your days are actually spent doing research? How many of it is spent on the field? How is actual archaeology similar to or different from what you see on Indiana Jones?
Well, yes, Indiana Jones and Lara Croft are quite different from what we do because we don't carry guns, first of all,
Right.
and we don't our competitor raiders following
Okay.
us. It's absolutely different. But
Right.
yes, the way archaeology has been romanticized over the years is quite amazing. And most of the time, actually, is spent on the table. It's
Okay.
just 3 or 4 months of the entire year that we spend on the field. Because unless and until you don't dedicate the time on the table, analyzing the stuff you get from the field, it's useless to find that stuff because we don't sell them, we don't buy them. It's not that work. We analyze them in order to understand about the lives of the people who left them. Suppose we get a pottery from an ancient site. So we don't sell it as it is being widely thought about. We actually analyze it scientifically and we try to understand what was contained in that pottery, how was that pottery made, and what sort of things can we know about the past, about the people who made that particular stuff. So it's all about field work as well as a lot of desktop analysis and scientific analysis.
Right. Okay. Now, I want to talk about a particular portion of your work, right? You've been on a quest to establish the existence of Buddhism in ancient Egypt. How did that begin? How did that start off? And what are the first pieces of evidence that sort of prompted this search? And what do you need in order to confirm it?
First of all, the subject Egyptian Buddhism, it's quite interesting because I think there was some technical glitch in the middle, so I couldn't understand the whole bit. Can you just repeat it?
Yeah, sure. So, how did your quest to establish the existence of Buddhism in ancient Egypt begin? What were the first pieces of evidence that prompted this search, and what do you think you'll need to confirm it?
Buddhism was the study of how Buddhism went into Egypt during the time of Ashoka, Buddhist emperor, because we get a lot of evidence from the Egyptian side about the existence of Buddhist communities around the 3rd and the 2nd centuries BC. Because even in India, we get a lot of evidence about Greeks who were living in India and they were following Indian religions like Hinduism or Buddhism.
Right.
So obviously the whole array of people, sort of Greek was a common term. It was a term that included Egyptians, it included Persians, because at the time, the entire Middle East, it was under Greek occupation. So the Indians had a common term for those people, the foreigners. We call them Yavana or Yona. So it refers to the Ionians or the Greeks, but it was also used for more generally for foreigners. So we get references of Yona Buddhists or Yona Hindus in the historical period. And then I went to Egypt. I found a lot of evidence. We got records of papyrus scrolls from the Greek period of Egypt, where we get that more than 10,000 or 20,000 Buddhists were living at a site known as Memphis in Egypt. And it is very striking that when I was searching through the artifacts in Alexandria, in a museum, which is a very famous museum there, Bibliotheca Alexandrina, we got a coin. It was a gold coin. And on that coin was made an impression of four Indian elephants. They were typical Indian elephants.
Right.
And the king to which that coin belonged, that king was actually a contemporary of Ashoka. So
Okay.
it means that at that time there was an export and import of Indian elephants that was going on between India and Egypt. Because we need to understand that Indian elephants were the sort of the atom bombs of the time. They were the main machinery that was used in warfare. So obviously Indians had lots of elephants in the forest. We even get evidence from the Arthashastra of Kautilya. And we have an entire section dealing with elephants and how to catch them from the forest and then train them for the army. So Chanakya is the same person who was the teacher of Chandragupta Maurya, the grandfather of Ashoka. So obviously the same thing would have also been followed at the time of Ashoka. And Ashoka would have been using these elephants for his own gain, for the gain of the Mauryan Empire, because he was searching for a neutral policy. It was we have to understand that it was from the policy of Dham of Ashoka that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister of India, he got the idea of non-enlightenment. The non-enlightenment organization where you don't need to go with either of the blocs, that is the USSR and the US. So Ashoka had a similar policy, and to achieve that, he used both religion as well as elephants to the maximum. So we get evidence of elephants being exported from India to Egypt. We get evidence of elephants being exported from India to Persia, to other places. And all these people, they were giving, they were taking in elephants, they were taking in medicines, herbs, doctors, who were all being sent by Ashoka. So even today, we know that if you see the world of today, India has been exporting COVID vaccines to other places. It has been doing it in the Maldives, in Bangladesh, in South Africa, Brazil, Nepal, Bhutan, etc. So we see that a similar policy was also approached about by Ashoka, where we come to know that he talks about himself sending medicines and doctors to other places for the benefit of both humans and animals. So we know that there was also a sort of animal medicine and human medicine being carried out in other places. So many of the policies that we see were being done by Ashokan, the Ashokan people, especially the Mauryan Empire. It still continued. And we get a lot of influence and a lot of inference from the facts that were accumulated.